Hi Gemini, and welcome to your January 2021 general reading. So can I just please take the time to wish all of you a really wonderful 2021, and that whatever your soul's looking for, whatever you're desiring, comes to you in a perfect way, with no force, no stress, just that beautiful state of ease. So your two Lenormands, you got the Swans card, which is clearly a card like the Two of Cups or the Lovers card. It's a card of connection and relationships, and it's a 24, which goes down to the 6 again, which is your card. So there's clearly a theme of connection and love going on. And then you get the Book of Knowledge. So I think you've been having this for quite a long time, this Book of Knowledge. So I'm guessing what some of you are doing are pursuing studies, pursuing knowledge. As a Gemini, you're always here to incorporate the Sagittarius archetype, about collecting knowledge, sharing it, being the teacher and expressing yourself. So some of you might be going on a course of study. It's your nodal return, as I said, and it's very much trining all the Aquarius energy. Aquarius does rule astrology, so some of you might be thinking about becoming astrologers. I don't know. It's whatever's right for you, Gemini. We're all so unique. We all have this very, very unique blueprint, and it's bringing that forward and expressing it, which is very much about the Aquarius energy. So give me a minute and I'll do your spread, and we'll try and work out where this is going on for you. Oh, so you get the Hanging Man behind you, but it's upside down. Okay, with the Three of Wands. That's very interesting, because these are both basically the same card. They're in a pause. And if you're in the UK, that's very, very interesting, because we're all back in lockdown. But the Hanging Man came up in reverse. So in the negative sense of the Hanging Man, we can feel a little bit stuck. But because it came up that way, what I perceive is maybe some Geminis are becoming unstuck. There's a feeling of change, there's a feeling of movement. Then the Three of Wands is waiting for your ships to come in, but with the Three of Wands, we know it's coming. So there's a sort of sense of destiny, waiting for something, but knowing what you're waiting for is coming, which means you're not floating. A lot of people don't like the Hanged Man because it's that feeling of, well, I'm not in charge of my destiny. I think if COVID taught us anything, that we're not in charge of our destiny. We're in charge of our mind and our body and our spirit and what we choose to do. But the Hanging Man coming out in reverse would sort of mean that there's almost a sense of knowing that you're on the right track. Maybe you've burst through some doorways, or you're about to burst through some sort of initiation going on here. So what you want is the King of Wands. It can be a fire sign person, or it can be about yourself. The King of Wands is that energy that pushes through obstacles. Fire manifests, it goes forward and makes stuff happen. The gift is the Queen of Swords. The challenge is the Nine of Wands. Relationships, you've got the King of Pentacles. So you've got a lot of people showing up. See, these could be people, other parts of our own self, because we have all the elements. Two of Swords in your money and work, which makes sense with that energy. Ten of Swords at a soul position. And then you get the Knight of Swords. which is really, really rapid change. And especially when it comes with the Tower card, it's like 1 minute your life's one way and then it's another way, sort of news coming your way. So it's very interesting. So what you're waiting for has arrived, basically. And it looks like some sort of piece of information, some sort of news, some sort of... Knight of Wands tends to be a yes card, so something being delivered to you. I think it's probably to do with your place in the world and what you do with your external reality. Because relationships are looking quite... I mean, you've got a King of Pentacles here. He might be a person, or it can just be... Really, for some of you, the King of Pentacles is a very, very stable energy. Very, very like an oak tree. So maybe some of you, you've got a relationship energy, which is very, very solid. Sometimes the King of Pentacles can be a little bit negative in the fact it can be quite boring. So not judging it. It all depends what we're looking for. Yeah, because our relationships... Sometimes the King of Pentacles can be a little bit feeling of flatness, but should we always be looking to our relationships to bring us excitement? Or should we be looking to our own self to expand ourselves? So it's sort of open for debate. Now the King of Wands might be a person, very, very passionate person, by the way, if he is. Or this is about your fiery self-expression. The gift is the Queen of Swords, which is clearly you. She's an air sign queen. She is very, very Aquarius energy as well. So both of these cards represent outward focused action. So taking steps to make something happen, essentially. They're very, very high quality energies. So they're so the Queen of Swords is... She is about seeking knowledge. Because look, she holds the sword of truth. So this is the gift. And she's looking right at that King of Wands. And this is about trying to make something happen. I know it is. And it's about trying to make something happen so we have an inner life, don't we? And we have an outer life, what we do every day. And this is about trying to make something happen. This might be a relationship dynamic. And the Queen of Swords is trying to bring some sort of clarity, some sort of awareness to a situation. Okay? Some sort of communication. And it's clarified with the Wheel of Fortune. I think for some of you, this is clearly to do with a partnership, by the way, clearly. Fortuna, goddess of, Venus, of love, prosperity, turning your life around, riding the wheel. It is clearly to do with a relationship. For others of you, this is to do with your place in the world and trying to make something happen. And because it's an air sign, it's going to be to do with something about communication, some sort of study, okay? Now, the challenge of the Nine of Wands, if this is relationship energy, I think for some of you this is about a relationship. The Nine of Wands can be quite a protective energy. So for some of you, this is trying to bring a dialogue, trying to bring closeness into a bond. And maybe the bonds became a little bit stubborn, a little bit stuck. Because the King of Pentacles in his shadow, he doesn't move. It's a wonderful energy to have in your relationships because it's about loyalty. It's very like an oak tree. So, but commitment. But it can feel a little bit stuck and a little bit overly that it's lost its romance, it's lost its, and some things became a little bit rigid and a little bit defensive. And what the Queen of Swords is trying to do is trying to bring some sort of truth to that dynamic, to try and break down some sort of the defences. Why is the Nine of Wands the challenge, please? Page of Swords, it's to do with some sort of communication. And what's the King of Pentacles doing here? Yeah. Ten of Wands. There needs to be a lightening up in your relationship dynamics here, Gemini. The Ten of Wands is about carrying karmic load, okay? So tends to be about carrying the past dynamics, and that tends to be why walls and barriers go up in our relationship dynamics, why they become a little bit stuck. And there's a little bit of a feeling that that is what's going on in your relationships, because the Queen of Swords tries to bring truth. So she tries to bring communication so the flow of love can happen again. And that's clearly going on within your relationship vibes. Yeah, look. Guarded heart, carrying the past for the Ten of Wands, which is keeping an awful lot of walls up. See, walls aren't a bad thing, but what they do is prevent intimacy happening, because intimacy needs vulnerability and openness. And there's a lot, you've got a very stable energy, but it's not an energy of flow. And it would seem to me there's some sort of light of awareness that needs to be brought to it, some sort of truth. That's what the Queen of Swords does. That's what the Tower card does. And it breaks through all these stuck energies so things can begin to flow again. I'm going to ask what's going on here in your relationships, Gemini. One card to represent, okay, yeah, there's an undermining quality, the mice. So the mice is like a state of mind, and it undermines everything. So this can be nagging, complaining between two people. It can be just that feeling of, oh, maybe this isn't right, the other person's thinking that. And there's an undermining quality going on here. These Ten of Wands need to be put down. And the Ten of Wands is just our karmic past that still lives in the present. And it lives in the present. It lives in the present until we get to feel it and release it. Okay? And really to do that, I mean, it sounds quite easy, Gemini. I've been doing it my whole life. Sometimes it's just to bring awareness and bring truth to a situation, because it's clearly there's a lot of loyalty, or the potential for a lot of loyalty. There's a lot of held backness here, and eventually that held backness, it doesn't tend to lead to very, very, very good places, and it generally ends to the breakdown of the relationship unless we can bring this awareness to it. Now let me carry on. Two of Swords and money and work. There ain't a lot happening here for some of you, okay? Things might feel a little bit stuck. And that's why I also think that book of knowledge, because I feel you've been pushed in this direction for months to go and study new skills, to go and study new abilities. Everyone has during COVID, okay? And you know, that sense of how can I bring more meaning? How can I make a living in a way that's aligned with me? And I do feel that's what's going on as well. Tell me another card for Gemini in their money and work. So Knight of Wands, that's about initiating new ground. So going after what you desire. going after what you truly desire in life tends to actually, in the end, resolve our relationship dynamics. Now, it can solve them for better or for worse, and sometimes the worst is there's just no compatibility here. So the relationship leaves your life, but that resolves it. Sometimes the relationship becomes more freer as we become more expressive, as we become more creatively actualizing. Knight of Wands, going forward, moving out of our comfort zone, finding courage, taking risks. Quite often when we do that, the relationship dynamic sorts itself out around us. Because if one person changes, the whole system changes. But we can't change them. All we can do is follow our own passions and our own desires. Very, very interesting here. And what desires would you like Gemini to follow? Now you get the Aries card. I am and I will, very much about independent self-discovery. You know, going forward, being curious, having an open mind, investigating, and sort of discovering more of yourself. Because I'm wondering if you do that. Again, sometimes we can try and resolve our relationship problems. Sorry, I feel a big sigh. And other times we can go, you know what? I'm going to go forward and fulfill my own sense of destiny and let the relationship issue begin to unwind itself, because it seems to be there's quite a lot of karmic stories built up here. Now the Ten of Swords at a soul level. What's the Ten of Swords about? See, I like the Ten of Swords. I pair the Ten of Swords with the Fool card because it's sort of that decision. You know, I've got a small self and a large self. And the small self is like, oh my God, you know, I need to go forward and take a leap of faith. I need to bring more of something into my life, and it's with the Magician card. So more, so the Magician comes from the Fool card, and the Magi. It's that part of us that's so full of dynamic, creative expression. It's so full of wanting to find a sense of purpose and destiny in this world. And that's why I read the Ten of Swords very differently from people, because when I get to the Ten of Swords, you know, I've been in it recently, and it's a little bit like, oh my God, just no. It's about jumping forward and taking risks. It's about not living your life in fear. It's about not living your life too small, but stepping up tall and proud, standing your truth, the Queen of Swords, and follow your sense of destiny. I have been saying it a lot, Gemini. You've got the whole year of your nodal return, but then it's 18 years before you get it again. It's pure magic, this energy, but not if you don't use it, and not if you don't just say, because if you think of the Ten of Swords, beforehand we're in the 8 and the 9, so we're in a state of contraction, and the Ten of Swords is that desire to expand, to leave behind the limits, and then we move into the Fool card, and from the Fool we move to the Magician. So we become this being that wants to be empowered. Absolutely stunning. And then your Knight of Swords. So this feeling of waiting, whatever you're waiting for, is now arriving. You know, see, sometimes our relationship difficulties, I'm not saying we don't, I'm not for the life of me saying we ignore them, Gemini. But you know, you can get into loggerheads with someone. And it becomes a little bit, oh, this is just crap. And sometimes it's not always the relationship that's the issue. Sometimes it's expecting the relationship to fulfill a purpose, or it's not meant to fulfill, because we're meant to fulfill our purpose. And when we go forward and begin to do our real spiritual work, of breaking, finding courage, breaking through, saying yes to life, saying yes to opportunities, not living in the small self, and expanding the relationship dynamic. Again, sometimes it takes care of itself by saying, oh my gosh, there's no compatibility here. I want action and be dynamic, and you don't. But that's another reading for another time. And right now I feel, because what we're dealing with this year is a combination of gestation and innovation. So it's not going to be a year of movement, but it's going to be loads of innovation, and then places where we feel, it depends where you are in the world, but a little bit of, oh my gosh, restrictions. It's what's going on. So we need to work with both of these energies. And where would you have Gemini make the changes yet? You get the Knight of Wands. To curiously explore new avenues in your life, especially to do with what you do for a living. That's what they want you to explore. And what would you do with the relationship? Just for now, this is only this month. A lot of people are struggling. Okay, relationships they do want the Ace of Swords. That's where the Queen of Swords is the gift. Bringing some sort of light of awareness to it. But again, Gemini, we can't be in control of when people decide to change, if they decide to change. If we change ourselves, sometimes the people around us automatically move in to that new vibration, and sometimes they don't. And that is a whole different ball game. What news is the Knight of Swords bringing? I'm quite excited. It's bringing the Ace of Swords. Come on, Gemini. Your gift is of it standing in the truth. It's about, what is the truth? What do I want? What do I truly want? And what is my first step to get there? That's it. That's it. What is my first step? And you go forward and you apply that first step. And you know what? That leads to the second step, then the third step, and then presto, we have the life that we were always meant to live. The Magi, the beautiful. Relationship dynamics, I would go, someone else got that there, I think it was Pisces. There's a lot of unspoken energy built up here, okay? What I would do one wand at a time. So what's the first wand? And just deal with one at a time. Ooh, that was quite an intense reading, Gemini. And if it's an intense reading, it's because your soul's trying to push you to evolve. That's it. That's what's trying to happen. And thank you, Gemini. So much love, guys. And links to my website below. Bye.